Oswego Community Unit School District Board. Oh, where is it? Oh. Where is it? Okay. Or someone has it.
We're open, so go ahead. That's fine.
Okay. Someone gonna be able to?
No, here he comes right now.
Okay.
He got caught in the snow. 0.5 inches. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, we never did complete circle.
Yeah. Take a pool right
Are
now.
you ready? Okay. I call to order the Oswego Community Unit School District Board of Education meeting for January 8th, 2024. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Cerrone,
Here.
Mr. Gatewood,
Present.
Ms. Johnson,
Here, present.
Dr. Murillo,
Present.
Mr. Ploger,
Present.
Ms. Simulton,
Present.
Ms. Venmuth,
Present.
and our student ambassadors, Isabel Gershon,
Present.
Luke Lockwood.
Present.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance. Will you all stand with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, 4.1, public comment. On behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to thank the public for attending tonight's meeting. We value the feedback we receive from our members of the public and encourage everyone to take an active interest in their public school system. Residents interested in speaking to the board this evening are asked to have completed a comment card and presented it to the secretary to the board. When the secretary calls your name, I ask that you come to the microphone, state your name for the public record, and provide your feedback. Please note that comments are limited to 5 minutes per person and that no discussion of personnel matters, stating staff names, or responses to your questions are permitted. The board does not participate in discussion during public comment. Follow-up to your questions or concerns will be addressed by administration through the contact information provided on the comment card. Thank you.
Michelle Traeger,
Good evening and Happy New Year. I want to start with agenda item 8.4, the approval of junior high school English learner support. I'm really excited that the need is recognized and that it is recognized as urgent. The company the district intends to use looks really good, and I like that they have symposiums about multilingual special education perspectives and publications about welcoming bilingual learners with disabilities into the dual language program. I want you to approve it. My question is, what then? I would like the district to carefully consider its position that we are unable to fill the junior high EL coordinator position. It's been open since October, but how much outreach are we doing to our own valuable and experienced staff? I think we have at least 2 DL teachers who would be qualified for this position. How attractive have we made this position to them? Yes, then if one of our teachers moved into that position, we'd have to then fill a position for a DL classroom teacher, but that should be easier than filling the coordinator role. How much are we reaching out within our own community? And are we training our current employees how to respond to direct inquiries? This is an example I heard that's recent. A parent who's a native Spanish speaker, a teacher in her home country, new to our district, therefore might not understand how our big school system works, asked the front office at one of our elementaries that has a DL program if they were in need of any DL teachers, and the answer was simply, no, we're full here. If that's accurate, we need to do a better job training our employees to redirect such inquiries. Maybe that school doesn't need any DL teachers right now, but why not direct those inquiries to DAC and who they should contact there? Maybe another building needs a DL teacher or a bilingual sub or a bilingual TA, and maybe this person who inquired has the necessary credentials or would be close to having them. As our ELDL population continues to grow, we can't miss opportunities for utilizing resources in our own community. It will be valuable to have this company give some structure and a proven system to set a foundation. But then what? Who will oversee what is put in place and see that it continues? We don't want to throw $2,600 a day out the window. Why not get creative, work with our own staff who may be qualified, pay them to take on this role in some capacity to do consulting and implementation and ensure continuity into the future, if not outright employ one of our own staff in that full-time position. I want to talk about, there's a lot of good going on. I'm going to try not to say the names. Our EL director and our assistant superintendent for curriculum have been working with the ELDL community frequently, and we have momentum. And I don't know the last time I could say we actually had momentum, like almost to the point where it's too late, but I'm so glad about it now. And we had a great EL forum in November. Dr. Calgatti was able to attend that as well. I'm also really excited, again, I'm going to try not to say the names, our DEI director, and I believe her title is Community Outreach, kind of reworking Parent University to pull that ELDL community under that umbrella. That is going to be crucial. And that's another very exciting event that's happening, and I'm excited to see how that works. The things we still want to work on, I'm never going to accept that there's not enough students in DL to justify an honors social studies class for them. We still need to work on bridging math for those incoming sixth graders, improving student supervision, and listening when parents ask for further investigation on a narrative that turns out not to be accurate. We can't improve our communication and response plans if we don't start off with the accurate information. I also want to say that January is Brain Injury Month, and prenatal exposure to alcohol is a brain injury. I also know that behaviors are a concern for a lot of parents, a lot of teachers, a lot of administrators. They seem to be increasing in frequency and severity. I want to say that the Illinois Council for Children with Behavior Disorders Winter Conference, which is virtual, is the first weekend of February. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I do good with positions instead of names?
You're always
Okay, now I would like to ask Dr. Calgatti to give his superintendent report.
Thank you, Madam President, Board, community. It's great to be back, and I hope that all of our students and staff are feeling rejuvenated, and our families after a well-deserved and winter break, and also taking a lot of vitamin C. I personally went through a long bout of illness due to a variety of things, and I would say that the more we work to shore up our health, it's really important as we turn this leaf. So I want to welcome you back. This served as a time of, this break was really important also as a time of reflection and time with our loved ones. And as we step into this new year together, let's continue to harness the energy that we've been building this year that comes with the fresh start of 2024. This second half of our year holds promise and opportunities for continued growth and learning and personal development. None more symbolic of that than was it December 29th, we gathered at the Wolf's Crossing, a roundabout, to cut the ribbon with many of our legislators and city and village, and just and members of our board were there as well. And what a wonderful symbol of collaboration coming to fruition. And I look forward to this continued work. I'm just so proud of our community and 308 for all the work we do around that. I, on a similar, on a different tone, I do want to take pause, and I want to invite us to hold a moment of silence this evening. We experienced several losses over the last couple weeks during this really juxtaposition of time of celebration and excitement. We also want to be mindful of those who are facing grief, sadness, and really trying to find a silver lining of what can be very difficult. We've lost a staff member, we've lost 2 former high school students, and sadly a second grader. And so We want to do everything we can to send positive energy into the world, and I'm going to share a little bit more now about who those individuals are. First, with our staff member, Mr. Michael Jacobs. I was able to attend his celebration of life this weekend. He was an OHS staff member as a special education teacher, beloved soccer coach. Mr. Jacob was known for his dedication and a true advocate for all students. Maximo Cruz was a second grader at Churchill Elementary School. Maximo will be remembered for his sweet smile and positive demeanor. Daniel Maya was a 2023 OHS graduate. Dan was a true fighter. He overcame so many challenges. His smile, laughter, and positivity will be missed. And Alex Nowak, who was an OHS graduate from 2020. Alex was an outgoing, happy, and kind person, always willing to help others. Would you please join me for a moment of reflection for these four individuals and their families and the communities around them who are grieving. Thank you. And this is always an important reminder to just reach out to each other and support each other. And we are a community, and we are a family, and that's what makes this community 308 so special. And so let's continue to lean on each other, and knowing that no favor is really too small ever to ask for in supporting each other. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Dr. Kelgadi. 5.2, we'll have our student ambassador reports.
All right. Due to our long winter break, we have only had one SSAC meeting since our last school board meeting. Throughout our last meeting, we went over our schedule for the January 26th Ascend event, determining our final speaker count for Ascend, and finalized our procedure for students to select their speaker of choice. We are asking parents, students, and educators to keep an eye out for the finalized plan for Ascend, along with all the important information on our wonderful speakers. Over break, I was able to create a presentation that students will receive with all the important information on our speakers. Currently, we have 6 incredible speakers, including our very own Mr. Gatewood and Dr. Kelgadi. Lastly, I would like to thank Luke, along with our board and administration, for a wonderful first semester in this position. I'm looking forward to continuing this vital work in the upcoming semester.
Throughout the break, I took some time to reflect on the past semester and the things that the SSAC did well, and also some of the areas that we need to improve on. We look to improve communication with students, teachers, admin, etc. This will be essential to the success of our work for this upcoming semester and the future of the SSAC. We also look to the future as we reopen our work on our teacher survey to get some much needed feedback, as it took the backseat to our much anticipated Ascend that takes place later this month. I would also like to thank everyone for a fantastic first semester, as the SSAC is looking forward to getting back to work and starting 2024 and this new semester very strong.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
to our student ambassadors. 5.3, we'll have our board committee reports. We have equity in teaching and learning. Would like to start there.
I didn't have any questions.
Okay. Oh. Oh my God, of course. Oh. Go ahead. Go ahead.
trouble finding the notes right now,
Okay.
so if you don't mind.
Sure. One of the things we discussed was the involvement with the MAP Center and upcoming professional development. We also discussed organization, curriculum audit process, reviewed proposals submitted by the vendors. After looking at those, we definitely recommended that they be brought to the entire board so that we can all see various proposals. I think there was a question at some point, I can't remember where or when, about why we settled on who we settled on. And I believe that after looking at the vendor proposals, it was pretty eye-opening. There's definitely some very intriguing aspects to that audit that I think will be really telling and pretty excited about. And then we agreed the next agenda items would include the ELA pilot and also space needs with our EL program as well. I'm sure there's more that you can add, but
I would add, I just think that the curriculum audit's going to give us some really great information. I'm looking forward to getting that started and then to hearing the results. I think will give us some clear direction on where we need to go.
I just want to add to that we're really paying attention to this really being an opportunity to work collaboratively with our unions across the district and with all staff so that it's really more of a shared learning experience. Anytime somebody says, oh, what's going on, or audit, it's like, oh, wow, what is that about, And so I just want to tell everybody that this is really more a reflection opportunity for us to think about how we do things better. And so that's something that we'll be bringing back to the Equity Teaching and Learning Committee as well, about some of the progress we're making around collaborating with our unions.
Very good. Next, finance and facilities.
It was, you weren't there.
I was gonna say, I was
I'm
not.
pointing to Mary Jo. It was very short. We didn't really cover too much. Jen had the first point here was something that you were pretty adamant about, so I'll let you speak to that. Got some pool updates, pool gutters, some infrastructure improvements and safety improvements that we need to look at there, and relatively soon. We were told we would get an update on the RFP for food service at every meeting, and there was nothing to share at this point. And then we're on track for the Plank air conditioning unit, or
Rooftop unit.
rooftop unit, so RTU. So,
We actually spent some time talking about the just the incredible crew that our maintenance department has, led by Mr. Queen, and some damage that we found in.
was that last meeting?
Was
all
that? Wasn't it?
With all the debris and
Yeah.
Oh my, okay.
In the
was so long ago
sewer
now.
system, and unfortunately, what was found is a lot of vape cartridges and shoes and I can't hear him.
5-gallon bucket.
A 5-gallon bucket worth. So we do ask our students not to use it as a trash can. So just once again, I cannot thank that team enough. Mr. Queen, their responsiveness, the way they get in there and take care of it so that we have the least interruption to our students as possible. Just really grateful for that team. We just, per our last board meeting, something that we've been trying very hard to, between our last administration and this administration, is just to bring forward proposals with 3 vendors as best practice. So we look forward to seeing that moving forward. And then I believe ISB is backlog on food RFPs, but I do believe we are doing a tasting in March with the different companies that have submitted RFPs. It's quite a big number, which we're really happy about. And Amanda, thank you so much for leading that up and taking that on. It's something that we've been hoping to do in the district for a very long time. And I just want to say, and I don't know if we mentioned it, but Terry Gacci, who was our administrative assistant, has retired, and we just want to thank her for her amazing service to this district for many years, and she will be sorely missed. But Mr. Obafemi is bringing in someone, transitioning someone in our succession plan, and we're very excited to, it's going to be a seamless transition, so we're very excited, but we are very much going to miss Terry.
So, and we talked about, I forgot that that's one of the things we talked about, was all the vapes in the
Sewer.
drainage, yeah, in the sewer. So we did talk about maybe doing some more preemptive type things to prevent those types of buildups from happening in the future, and it'll save us over the long term. And
Not
by
having
getting
to
the
rent.
necessary equipment.
Yeah, we don't have to rent, because as we keep renting this tool, we can pay for one, and then we can have it, and we can address that situation a lot sooner.
And
But
then put it on a schedule to go like,
yes,
yeah, to
Mr.
different
Clean's gonna bring
buildings throughout the
forward-
year, rather than waiting till it's
Yeah,
causing, school closures and stuff like that.
and also maybe some preemptive communication to our students, not to dump their trash in the sewers.
Yes.
So, so
Or
one of,
student, it doesn't necessarily need to be students, it could be
Oh,
anybody
it could
doing
be,
it.
yes, yeah.
one of the things too that I'd be interested in is the cost that we're finding this, because just as a historical reference to take us back when the state, and listen, I'm not arguing for or against, I always preface what I'm about to say, but when the state decided to legalize marijuana, one of the things that I had personal conversations with legislators about was some of this is going to filter into our schools. We're going to see an increase in things like vaping and so forth in our schools, and there's going to be a cost to us. And one of the things that at the time that I had advocated for was some of that tax revenue, the local tax revenue, to go directly to the schools. I'm not saying the county doesn't need it. There's absolutely things that can be done at the county level. I'm not saying there isn't a state tax that helps us as well. However, this is just another example of some of the cost again, and and just like to kindly remind those who write legislation and do these things that we're a lot of times the front lines, right? We're front lines when it comes to mental health, and here we are again on the front lines again. I'd be interested in the cost, just because I think that would be something useful to share, so that we could say, hey, listen, if you don't believe us, here's physically something that has cost us, because I am, based off of what I'm reading, I'm not saying that that's exactly what's going on all the time, but there's definitely been a correlational increase in vaping that we've seen since the law passed. And again, not arguing for or against, it's not the purpose of that piece, just that there's a cost. There's always a cost benefit, and sometimes a
We
cost.
also have money from our lawsuit as well.
Yes,
So,
thank you. All right, moving on to policy and legislative. Any comments in that regard?
I can do that one. Most of our meeting was reviewing policy. A good majority of it. There was a lot to
Sorry, I
review,
missed
and
it.
we're not quite through it, but we we are bringing several policy suggestions from press to tonight's vote. We had a couple items that we wanted some more information on, so there's still more to do, but it was productive, and that we're got these ones on the agenda for tonight.
and the only thing I'll add on the legislative end is I had a conversation with another board member outside of here who we're going to get together and kind of discuss what they do for their legislative committee. They bring in other districts, I know, and they have conversations with quite a few legislators. So they're larger than us, but there's always the opportunity for partnerships and what have you. We did not have a lot of time to discuss a lot of legislative in the policy and legislative committee, and I always like to remind that we combine those, and both are definitely a need.
Can you just extend your meetings a little longer then? Is that what you're saying, is you need more time for the legislative piece?
Well, I mean, we certainly could. The question becomes, again, like, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Doesn't matter to me. I mean, I would definitely want to take the feedback from our staff to see. I mean, I would remind us that they've already worked a long day, and so
Absolutely.
if we're asking them to come in like extra on top of extra, that could be. I mean, I don't want to speak for them, and I
Yeah.
certainly do care about them. So.
So, when last year when a lot of the heavy lifting in the policy aspect. I kind of thought maybe it would be a little lighter this year. Is it not going to be?
I think it's always going to be a reflection of legislation, and that's why I agree that the two are definitely combined, but you have the proactive piece, which is supposed to be the legislative piece. What do we see as a need? And one of the things in board comments that I'll bring up tonight is HB 3822 and the implications there, right? And so there's opportunities on the legislative end, which is the proactive end, right? And that HB 3822 centers around dual language and what the state recognizes as issues, and also legislation that they've passed to kind of try and address some of those things. But then there's the outside, right? There's the follow-up, which is the policy piece. So when you pass legislation, I don't want to use the word mandate, but there's mandates, there's changes to legal code, all these things that then we have to address.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for all those
I
committee
do have a
reports.
question
Oh, yeah.
because I feel like I looked at board docs the other day and it's changed, but what has happened to policy 8:30?
For approval tonight.
Yeah.
Say again?
It's for approval tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, 5.4, board member comments. Who would like to start?
Sure. I did attend Dan Maya's wake, and it's very sad. But there's so many of the artifacts that were presented, at the wake were things that have been done with the schools, and so just all of our students are just so important, and we just we need to make sure that we're doing the best we can for them. Life is precious, right? Additionally, since we last got together, did some holiday charity work. We intend to keep doing that throughout the year. This is just basically my reminder to the community that, now that the holidays are over, there's still plenty of things that we can do. There's plenty of contributions that we can make, even with your school, your community, your nation, whatever you want to do in order to contribute. I was also, we had a pancake breakfast for our transportation team, and it's my understanding that was a relatively unique event, and I'm glad I was able to participate. Board members and district leadership made pancakes. I was on the griddle. I don't know if I was making the best pancakes ever, but I think they were okay. But that was great, and I'd love to be invited to more of those types of things. As you, and I encourage us to do more of those things. It seemed like it was went well with the team. And then I attended the roundabout celebration. It was 20 minutes. It wasn't. I hear some comments. Making a big deal. I'm like, it was a 20-minute thing, and it was 15 years in the making. So I talked to. We talked about it quite a bit in planning and zoning. Every single project, it's a chicken and the egg, but it was a must. So this, glad to see that we're expanding to 4 lanes. The roundabout. I know I'm moving a lot quicker through there. Today was the first time, kind of, with the school traffic as well, as regular traffic, and it was a little tighter, but it went fine. And just pay attention, and then listen to your driver's ed teacher. So stay in your lane. Yeah. Yeah, what almost caused what somebody did though. After they get out of the roundabout, they decided to park.
No.
They decided to park on Wolf Road right after the roundabout. But I think that was a unique situation. But that was where I was like, whoa, where'd that come from? But anyhow, there's always hazards on the road, so be safe.
Mary Jo?
Okay, I probably shouldn't announce this, but first of all, Michigan is beating Washington 17-3 in the second quarter. Just thought I'd bring that up. Outside of that, in other news, went to the kickoff, the robotics team kickoff
So good.
this weekend. What they got or what they received at that kickoff, and I have to say,
It was on another level,
oh
wasn't
my
it?
God. What they received was their project for, help me out here, Dr. Kelly.
For the
Cato.
first competition.
Right.
Which is a worldwide competition.
So it was a presentation that was done simultaneously, I guess, across the world, which
Yes.
would be interesting with time zones. But the project that they're doing, first of all of the students there were so excited when this project was announced because it was a combination of two other projects that had been done before. If you could see how these students lit up when they heard. In the meantime, I'm sitting there going, yeah, okay.
The robots have to move, what do you call it, rings, and throw them
It's
into a
a
different
ring
tune
toss.
using frequency, musical frequency. So there's a whole artistic component. They even have Will I Am from
Yes. Black Eyed
Black Eyed Peas come and
Almost
like
like
be
Black
part of
Eyed
the
Peas.
presentation and mind blown.
It was, but the students were so excited, and they got their stuff afterwards. So they are like ready to go. And again, these students put in like hours and hours after school, almost on a daily basis. So that was pretty exciting. The other thing, and I'm going to make a pitch now again. I'm going to throw a guilt thing out there to OH parents, OH senior parents. I have been volunteering at some of the indoor concession stands for sports, and the money for that goes to Senior Celebration. Senior Celebration is, a great event. It's everybody kind of walks away with gifts, and they're kind of cool gifts like iPads and things like that. And we need to raise money to do that. Now, the people that are supposed to be volunteering at these concession stands are parents, and they are 2-hour slots. Nobody has to be there for like the entire time. They are really desperate for people to come to step up and volunteer. If you have a senior at OH, you should get involved. Please get involved. Please step up. Please participate. It's fun. It's easy. What else can I say? But please go ahead and do that. I was volunteering for, first of all, for girls basketball, which OH won against Plainfield, I believe, Central. Also, they had a large wrestling tournament over the weekend, a large mega duel, and I'm a big wrestling fan. OH did win 2 out of their 3 duels, so they were doing really well. So that's about it from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jared?
Well, don't say this real quick. Took me 7 minutes to get here to work, so thank you, Village of Oswego. Quizzed the 16-year-old, and he passed with an A on how to maneuver through. So I think the young people will be fine.
Yes.
They'll be fine. I really appreciate your words about grief. Thank you. Listen, we all have our own stories. We all have our own travels, and today would have been my brother's 54th birthday. And when you try and console a parent, which was a good portion of my day, and I know there's plenty of our parents in this district who have tragically had to deal with some of those things. It's not fun. So thank you, because there are lots out there. I did want to kind of talk about HB 3822. I'm not sure how many people are aware of this or whatever, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. Don't worry. But HB 3822 was an attempt to try and help districts with dual language programs, right? And one of the goals of the sponsor of the bill, Representative Rashid, was taking immersion and being able to finish middle school proficient in both languages, right, or 2 languages. However, he also said that learned a lot about the shortage that exists statewide. It's not unique to us. And one thing, I listen, I am always open, always, I would do just about, I could think of a War Games analogy, the movie from the 80s that I cannot use in public. You know, I'd do just about anything if I knew it would help. Somebody got that. But we also have to be cognizant that there's legalities that we have to follow, right? And so part of the bill that I am going to read is the bill that was passed and signed by Governor Pritzker, and this part, right, which acknowledges where we're at as a state, and really probably as a society in general, but how to build the supply of this is their words, not mine, how to build the supply of qualified teachers for dual language programs, including potential partnerships with private or nonprofit teacher preparation or development programs and college teacher preparation programs, potential alternative certification routes, exchange programs with other countries, and financial incentives, and standards for measuring student progress in dual language program was included in there as well. I bring this up because I've often found, hey, if I find something in our district that's unique, then I want to know what's going on. If I find something at the state level where they're just trying to report how to do some of this because the demand is increasing and it's recognized as beneficial and probably needed as we need more young people who, you know, is a deeper conversation, but we're, as a society, we're not producing enough young people to deal with, quite frankly, an aging population. And so as we have more young people who are coming here where English may not be their first language, this is going to become more prevalent. So I'm happy that it's getting attention. I'm happy about to have these conversations, and I'm glad. And the law has required that a council look into how districts can overcome the multilingual teacher shortage, because it is real. And there are things that legally we can do, and there are things that legally we cannot do. And it does look like it's at the attention at the state level. This is something certainly I would love to discuss with some of our legislators, or maybe at legislative, where how can we get people involved so that they can get their legislators' attention. For those who want to know what the bill was, it was HB 3822, was signed into law. There was a big article written about this over break in one of the state newsletter pieces. So just wanted to bring that to light.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple comments to just add on to that, and to just point to some of the stuff that we are in the process of establishing our teacher pipeline. We could, and I think we have the potential and the passion in our district to be on the cutting edge of building that pipeline for dual language teachers, with a teacher residency program, with a dual language program that's been around much longer than many other dual language programs in the state. So I agree this is good, and it does have some impact and some potential, hopefully, for us to shine. So haven't been to the roundabout yet, changing topics, so I'm hearing it's a hit, so I gotta go and check it out.
Just don't hit it.
Right?
Just don't hit it.
It's a flow, not a hit.
Okay. And then the third thing I'll say is the first day of second semester, the high school, I have two girls at the high school. Everything went very smoothly. They had some schedule changes and they navigated all that well. So they're home sleeping probably because they're now on a school schedule, and the teenage winter break schedule is a little bit different. So that's all.
Now we'll move to 6.1 on the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
Make a motion to approve all items under consent, including 6.1 minutes from the Board of Education meeting on December 4th, 2023, open and closed session. 6.2 to acknowledge the FOIA requests received by the district. 6.3 to approve the field trips for overnight and or more than 200 miles. And 6.4 to approve the following policy references and legal updates. Section 3:50, Section 5:50, 5:90, 5:120, 5:150, 5:190, 5:200, Section 6:20, 6:65, 6:65, 6:270, 6:280, Section 7, 7:50, 7:250.
Second.
Okay, before we take a vote, are there any questions on the consent agenda? All right, may we have a motion, please? May we have the vote, please?
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Dr. Maria?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Saron?
Aye.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye.
Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Turn it over to you.
Okay. Financial statements
Yes.
on the investment schedule. Mr. Obafemi?
What we presented is the portfolio of the district. It's laid down by different categories, the regular funds that we need. We don't invest a lot of money over a longer term because of the fact that we don't have a really high reserve. So we need those funds to be able to meet daily needs. So what you have there is what we have invested. And it's short-term, liquid, very liquid. And the goal is that over time, as we build our reserves, we can do more longer-term investments. I'm sorry, we can do more longer-term investments and be able to get better returns. But as it stands right now, because of cash flow reasons, we do mostly liquid short-term investments.
And just for educational purposes, there are many districts out there that are able to make long-term investments correct, and that does create an advantage financially for the district, for the districts that are able to do so, correct?
Absolutely, especially the last few years, as we all are aware. Inflation has been high because of the increase in the Federal Reserve Fund rate. And what that has done is made it very lucrative for individuals as well as organizations that have money in their reserve to be able to earn a higher rate of interest than in the past. So for organizations with a higher reserves, that's an opportunity to get some more revenue from investment income. We're working towards it, and the goal is for us to get there.
And I think like from a historical standpoint, it's important, I think, to revisit that and bring that up, because there was definitely a time in this community where the argument was we didn't need to increase the levy because we really didn't need a fund balance. We didn't need those extra things. And without that kind of buffer and that investment long-term piece there, it put us behind other districts.
Absolutely, and if you can remember the last few years, that's the reason why we've been doing short-term borrowing with tax anticipation warrant. The way the district gets money, we get money in two trenches, really. We get 55% of our property tax receipt in June. That's the windfall, and then we get the second installment, 45%. In September. So those are two periods, even though we have expenses that we have to carry over those periods. So it's important that we have enough reserve in place to be able to carry us over those drought periods, if you will. So it's absolutely imperative in order to avoid borrowing what I call payday loan, enriching our school district by borrowing short-term money to fill the gap between those June distribution and September distribution. Having a reserve help us to be in a better position to be able to withstand those droughts.
So, since we're on the conversation here, are we getting any rate on our liquid funds, on our cash balances at the banks?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
We get about 5.5%, but they're not there long enough to make a significant impact on our revenue. Now, the one area where we are seeing some good return It's in the working cash funds that was issued back in February of 2022 to be used for capital projects. Since we haven't ramped up and started doing those capital projects, we have the money in the liquid asset fund. The flip side of that is, since those are non-taxable bonds that we issue, we're limited to how much interest we can earn on that. If we earn more than a certain amount, we have to pay the IRS back in the form of penalty.
Well, I'm just thinking about the average
So-
balance throughout the year. I mean, because we get it in tranches, there's gonna be peaks and valleys, I understand that. But if you look at the average, I mean, it should add up if it's at 5.5% for the most of our money.
Yeah, it is, but
so-
we spend about $10 million a month.
Yeah,
So, so it's not.
No, I mean, it's
we don't hold on to our
$550,000
money
that
long
we didn't
enough.
make that month, that we made the month prior, but still, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
So,
we
I
get
mean,
some money.
That will, it's better than the 0.01% that we were probably getting
Oh,
a year and a half
absolutely,
ago, right?
absolutely.
So-
3 years ago, when the money market rates were 0.01, and we were getting absolutely nothing.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So yes,
So when do you anticipate that we will not have to have tax anticipation warrants?
we are very hopeful this year that we wouldn't have to issue one. We have been closely watching our cash flow, and as it stands right now, we don't anticipate that we will have to do one. If we had anticipated
Well, last year
doing
wasn't too
one,
bad.
we will have had
No, it's like
we will have had the resolution before the board in January, which is when we normally do it. But so far, we do not anticipate that we would need it. And one of the key, I'll be very open, one of the key reasons why we wouldn't need it is two things, really, two things. The transition from being self-insured to being part of a pool. When we're self-insured, we had about $8 million that we parked into an account. And that account is segregated. We can't touch it. We can only use it to pay for proceeds of health insurance expenses. Now that we pay a premium instead of being self-insured, all we have to do is hope that the premium that we collect from the employee matches up to the premium that we pay, the co-op. So the money that we used to park in that health insurance account, we're using some of those money to help us buffer the rough period
So it's
of
just
the timing.
That's a timing.
Yes. And the other part of it is the working cash money that I just mentioned. We have that money now. We will be able to borrow from it when our funds are down, and then we'll have to pay it back when we get our distribution in June. So we are watching our cash flow very, very closely every week, but as it stands right now, we don't anticipate having to do a tax anticipation warrant.
Will that be an option next year, borrowing from that same fund, or not? Because we'll start to utilize it.
It would not be an option, but what we are hoping to do is we are hoping to manage our expenses better with some of the decisions that we're making right now. So our goal is to move away from doing short-term payday loan, as I call it, and start building our reserves. That's our goal.
Love it.
I have a correction to my math that I want to make sure that I state. So I said $10 million in a month, that's $550,000. That's annualized. It's more like $45,000, $10 million in a month at 5.5%. So it's, that's, well, I don't want the, 550 times 12, that would be, like, that's a pretty good amount of money then.
We have to be sitting on a 1.5 bill to have that kind of money.
I better correct myself on this one, because that's 10 times the value.
This evening, thank you, Mr. Lafemi. This evening, we want to welcome Kevin McDonald and Brent Kiger, who are going to come and share an update on a securely classroom update for the board. Faith, do you have anything you want to add in opening for this?
Just this is an exciting opportunity and a tool that our teachers have the potential of using to help with motivation, also engagement, and also some classroom management pieces as you can see the climate and the ability to do instruction has really changed when you have all of a sudden 28 students with their own devices. The wonderful things and also some of the obstacles that brings to. So I'll turn it over to Tech.
Faith, do we use anything right now? So are we switching to securely? We don't have anything.
We do not
Okay.
for monitoring of student devices and for teachers to be able to see, other than the good old-fashioned walking around
Right.
and trying to do that, which, as you can imagine, is somewhat difficult while you're wanting to scan students' faces or be in front of them. Their devices don't face you. Or
Yeah.
if you go to the back of the room, you can see what all they might be doing, but then you can't gauge them as well. Or small group instruction, which we're really trying to do, is more problematic for a teacher to circulate and see what's actually on
Oh, yeah.
devices while you're trying to really focus on small groups.
We used it in my former district. It's awesome for teachers. So I
Yeah,
just didn't know if we had something or not.
Yeah, I loved reading about the responses, but from the teachers. So.
Well, do we really need to go through this presentation? It sounds like everybody's sold.
There's no snow yet. You're okay. Go
Okay,
ahead.
okay.
There is a game on, though.
It's 17 to 5.
Don't say the
Someone's taping it.
Yes.
I didn't say who's winning. I just
Well,
Please, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
As mentioned, I'm Brent Kiger. This is Kevin McDonald. We're the tech directors for the district. And tonight we're going to talk to you about a classroom management solution, specifically Securely Classroom. So exactly why do we need it? Since the district decided to go to the one-to-one Chromebook program for students in grades 1 through 12, teachers have been tasked with addressing various hurdles, let's say, that technology can introduce to the classroom on their devices. And we feel that we need to help educators keep an eye and manage those devices for the students. This particular solution will give them the tools that they need to help maintain that one-to-one classroom environment and help with engagement with their students. So what is Securely Classroom? It's an online tool to give instructors the ability to manage and monitor the students' experience on their Chromebooks in their classroom. Over the next few slides, I will show you and talk to you about how it will accomplish that. And so to begin with, it will help students stay focused. The teacher will be able to segment or isolate or group particular websites that can be used during the lesson. It will allow them to lock to one particular website. It also gives the teacher the ability to close tabs that aren't pertinent to the lesson. And then it can also allow the teacher to create groups of websites that can't be used, either as distractions or sites that maybe they don't want them to use for that particular lesson. Next, it can help guide the classroom. The tool will allow the teacher to push websites to the students' devices, very drastically increasing the amount of time that they have for teaching. Instead, where previously they may have to deal with typos or make sure everybody's on the same page, that's no longer needed. The website will be automatically pushed to their device. It also allows them or the teacher to broadcast their own device screen to the students' devices, which again will keep them focused and on what is happening and the demonstration that the teacher is trying to do. And then finally, when devices aren't needed, the teacher will be able to lock the screen, freeze the screen, and make sure that they have everyone's eyes looking at them. Securely Classroom also allows for the teacher to monitor the students' screens. No longer will the teacher feel like that they need to be in the back of the room to make sure that everybody's doing what they need to do. They can now relegate back to the front of the classroom, teach their lessons from the front of the classroom, move about the room, engage with groups of students or individual students, feeling comfortable because they know that they can see what else is going on in the classroom just by looking at the screen that now is with them in that particular circumstance. And then finally, it will allow them to directly communicate to one another, the teachers and the students. The teacher can send announcements to all the devices. Rather than, say, a teacher wanting to call out a student for misbehaving, they can now direct message that student, get them back on task, and get going. They can also use it as a positive feedback method to the student. And then finally, the students can now directly interact with the teacher. So in the case where a student may not feel comfortable in asking the question in front of everybody, well, now they can chat with the teacher. Next, Kevin will talk about how we arrived at Securely Classroom.
All right, thank you. When looking for a classroom management tool, we found out that Securely had a classroom management component in their suite that we could utilize. And since we already use Securely for a few of their other products, we reached out to get more information about it. And once we did that, our account rep scheduled a demo, got us more information, and explained to us that there are 71 other districts in Illinois currently using their platform. So we did look into other vendors that offered a similar solution, but all the other solutions did not directly tie into our content filter that we have in place currently, which makes some of the features that they offer, like the custom allow and block site lists, to pretty much be useless. And so in order to make sure the staff can properly utilize those, we felt like Securely was the way to go. So. And then we also had created a list of the success indicators that the pilot groups created, and I should get back to the pilot, sorry. So the existing pilot we had was a group of 30 staff members between OE and OH. The length of the pilot was 3 months. During that, we created a Google Classroom for all the members to collaborate and troubleshoot and idea share about how to use the features to the best of their ability. And by the end of the pilot, we ended up with about 50 staff members due to requests and word of mouth to join the program. So then every one of those members, we created the success indicators, and most of those were around how it could help with classroom management and keeping students on task and keeping them engaged with the lessons. And at the end of the pilot, all the members agreed that the success indicators were met. And so for the cost and the implementation of the product, the first year cost is a little bit higher due to the fact we added 2 additional add-on features or add-on services. The first of being a year subscription to the Securely Learn portal for the staff to view on-demand training videos. And then the other option was the personalized recording training sessions, which then we could utilize and keep within our Google Drive and then share for new staff members that come on board to get them up to speed on what the product offers. And then there is a one-time implementation fee. And then the subsequent years would be a little bit cheaper. And then this product and this cost is already budgeted within this year's budget. And then for the implementation steps, the first being which we would install the extension on the student devices through Google, and then send product information to the staff so they are aware of what this new tool can do for them. And then after that, send links of the optional recorded training content that we would have, and then also the link to the Securely Learn platform for their optional self-paced training videos. And most of the videos on there were about 5 to 6 minutes long, so they weren't very long. And if needed, we would work with the buildings to come on site or provide additional training to their staff during applicable staff meetings or times they have available. And then lastly, we would enable the Securely Classroom roster sync with Google Classroom, and then it would pull all their Google classes into Securely so they can get their staff class, their class lists and their student rosters all in the same screen. And that's it. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one, and I didn't send this ahead of time, so you can get back to me. I'm not expecting an answer right now, but I'm curious what the reasons for not going with something like Hapara and what the cost was. If you have that now, that's great, but if you don't, you want to get back to me, that's perfectly fine too. So that one was the one that I was curious about.
Yeah, Hapara and GoGuardian were the other two that we looked at. And like I said, the integration with how it allows websites or blocks websites would conflict with the securely filter method we have in place currently, because their product would say allow it, but if securely says block it, it would be conflicting. So that's why we, after finding out what the products were capable of, that's why we kind of lean towards securely, because based on the filtering methods that all the tools would need, it seems like we would have to adjust or kind of make, maybe it wouldn't work as to their expectations.
What you're saying makes complete sense. I would like at some point the cost piece on Hapara, because I think at that point, like, I'm not saying it's zero, I don't know, but let's say it was. If it was zero and this is 40,000, then we need to understand that because we're using securely, it's really costing us 40,000 if we want to do this, because Hapara is not an option. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, we didn't go all the way to getting quotes from those vendors after we learned about the limitation of it. But if you would like us to present the pricing,
Yeah, let's bring that to the next board meeting. We'll bring some updates on it. Great question, Jared.
Well, along with what Jared said, we've talked about this before. We really do need to see multiple bids and why we're choosing what we're choosing, just so we understand that the due diligence was done. So moving forward, if we could do that, we talked about this during the radio situation, making sure that you bring it forward, so that would be helpful. And then if the answer is obvious, that it doesn't integrate, we totally understand.
Will do.
I don't have any questions. I just have, a couple comments. I'm happy to support this, especially with the support of teachers. And being a former classroom teacher, I can definitely see how I would use this in my classroom. I did go to their website because I do have a keen kind of eye towards student privacy and surveillance of students, and they seem very high, get high marks in that area, and are I think go above and beyond what is required of them, which I'm happy to see. I think from a pedagogical point of view, I just, I always get weirded, thoughtful about how we're monitoring and surveilling our students. I do think there is, and I know that there's an educational benefit and benefit just in human development to allow the mind to wander and to think and to, not always be on task, right? And I know that goes against a lot what we're taught as teachers, but and sometimes technology, monitoring technology, surveillance technology really stifles that. So for me, this is all about how it's used in the classroom, and so I would encourage teachers to think about how they're balancing, this type of technology in general in the classroom, and still allowing for that creativity to develop in students, and that self-efficacy of their own monitoring of their self shine through.
I had one question and then request for feedback. So implementation, you're talking about next school year? Or?
No, yeah, it would be this school year.
So would you need the actual devices in order to No, okay.
Nope.
You can
It
do
gets
that
pushed all
remotely?
through the cloud.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, yeah, you kind of led me to this. I wanted to hear from the two of you, just thinking back from as a first grader all the way and thinking as an ambassador, of all students, how do you feel about this, or what do you think?
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, so overall, I definitely see the benefits. I know for me, I can see this as a big plus for me as just making sure, I'm on task in classes. Obviously, there's always going to be students out there, and I could see where, they would feel like they wouldn't like it as much, but I also feel like that could be coming from a place where, it's very easy to wander off with the Chromebook where you can, let me just go play a game on here while I'm learning. And I've been guilty of having those moments where I've gotten off task and then I'm like, shoot, I just missed that.
Same.
So, and yeah,
Every
and
day.
that's here as an ambassador, I've had that. So I do think overall this would be a great program for students, but also for teachers. I feel like it could make it immensely easier, and I do feel we're in a completely new era of education with Chromebooks and stuff, so being able to adapt to some of those new challenges as we go forward, I think this is a really big step with that.
Yeah, I would echo what Luke said. I think that it's a good program, and there needs to be some monitoring as much as, even as students, sometimes we want, to be able to do what we like, obviously, at school, and there should be parameters. I guess it's not really anything that can be, addressed with the program, but just making sure, I don't know how we could do it, but just making sure that teachers understand students and understand, I guess my only concern is that students are it's just gonna add to additional pressure of feeling like you have to be, locked in the entire school day when it is hard to, sit there for 7 hours. Even me, I think I'm a pretty good student, but even I struggle sometimes and I get off task. And I also just hope that there is education about neurodivergent students who especially are not going to be able to work just, focused the whole class period, who need breaks. So I don't think it can be anything really done with as much, just I think the software is important. But I also, another thing I wanted to make sure we have is I think we really do need to tell students the monitoring that is happening, because I think we do need to know what privacy we have. And it shouldn't be about having a gotcha moment where a student thinks they're not being watched and all of a sudden because I don't know if these students were part of the pilot, but I do know that, and I'm not this isn't a criticism, it was a pilot and you have to try new things, but I do know some students that were working and then all of a sudden it's oh, your teacher's monitoring your screen and they're being messaged, and it just was overwhelming and kind of it just made them jump back because they were oh, am I being monitored? What kind of level of monitoring? So with a school-wide implementation, I really do want to make sure that we are fully told what is being monitored, because I don't think it's fair to just put this on students.
And there's no reason not to. I would be very concerned that so that it's not used for punitive reasons.
Agreed. Agree.
This is just to help teachers. As
So-
far as I hope, that's just I don't want another level of ways that kids can get in trouble, even for something kind of just on their computer. So.
I mean, I agree with you and I hear you, but at the same time, I'm very cautious to say, oh, we're going to guarantee, because there's always a level of
I get
that
it.
supersedes that. So
There's
there's
cases.
100%,
Yeah.
and so I think that needs to be conveyed, right? When you're talking about conveying to students, you can correct me
Yep.
where I'm wrong. They need to know that piece. It's like when, as a teacher, when a student comes
Treat 'em
and
with respect.
tries to say, oh, well, if I'm like, hey, listen, you tell me some things, I got to share, right? I can't sit here and guarantee that. So I think there is a level of that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I want to thank Dom for inviting the ambassadors to speak on that. And so
Absolutely.
encourage you all, even without
anytime.
Dom's invitation, to speak up on
Speak
those.
up. Yep.
And especially, something that's so close to the classroom. And I think you the ambassadors made a good point about students. for future pilots, did we get the students who were involved in this pilot? What was their, because I heard you relay something
Agency.
like, oh, someone's monitoring me, like from a student, like what was their reaction to that? I mean, we have a student mental health crisis in our country, and they spend the majority of their day in schools. And so I often wonder if we're doing things that are contributing. I don't wonder. I feel, know that sometimes we're doing things in schools that can contribute to some of these feelings that students have. So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So since you brought that up, say that there is, what will the teacher see if a student is not on, if the student is not on task? For example, a student, say Luke is spending all his time on Facebook instead of whatever.
Facebook, right? Yeah.
It's already blocked.
Yeah. They see
it
their
is
screen.
blocked. All right, well, you do see the screen. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you get a nice, I don't know, tile view of all the student screens.
everybody's,
Correct.
okay.
And on the side of the student screen, it refreshes the image every 2 seconds to show the current what's on their screen. But on the right-hand side of it, it shows what tabs are open and what websites they have. So you can quickly see.
So
what
this
they
would be
have.
above and beyond anything that was already blocked, or that wasn't already blocked.
Right.
Okay, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, and that's where the contradiction was.
Correct. That's where
So
the teacher creating those custom lists of if they see a student continually going to the same website that they said, hey, please, get back to where the lesson is. If they
Okay.
keep going to there, they can create a block list that has that website automatically blocked.
Got it.
I
Okay,
actually
thank you.
have a question. So is there a way that the district could choose that we just want teachers to know they're on another tab, or would it automatically, is there any way to kind of like restrain or choose what kind of, what teachers are allowed to see, or is it always gonna be, they can see every single tab?
Yeah, they're going to see all the tabs that are open.
I just want to flip back over to implementation and kind of hearkening back to the other rollouts that we've had recently. How are we training staff? What does the rollout look like? And are there expectations around use of Securely for staff?
Like, do they have to?
Yes.
So this is an optional tool. It is not something that all teachers have to use, and certainly there are some classrooms that lend itself where this would be advantageous. And I can think of others where their students aren't on Chromebooks a lot, so there would be not a reason to do that. Also, what you would want to be monitoring for second grade is really different than at 10th grade. You'd be more likely to be, let's all go to this website together, and immediately all the second graders have access to that. So in speaking with union leadership, we worked together on what professional development could look like. And since they're snippets, the longest video is about 6 minutes long. There are some that are less than that. So teachers can pick and choose what they're interested in learning about and then use that. Because it's an optional tool, we're not having everybody sit through everything at the same time or say this is what you have to do, because people are at different levels of interest. And also we've already had a lot of staff that have used this or have talked to friends.
Yeah.
Like this is coming from teachers. We've gotten a lot of emails in the last month. When are we getting this? Have we gotten this yet? Are you ready? So a lot of our staff, and it's a pretty intuitive tool, we're looking at this as being optional and differentiated of when they would want to, when is the right time for them to learn about different aspects of this tool, and they can choose their own timing.
Just want to make sure that they know that A, it's optional, but B, what the expectations are around it.
Yes.
So this cost includes, licenses, numerous licenses in order to come up with this $40,000 or $44,000 cost?
It's a cost per student that is how they price it.
And so we know that not all students will use it, right? And so
Correct.
how do we, is this the least expensive way to go about it?
I mean, we gave them numbers of enrollment for 1st through 12th is where we were aiming to, push or allow this component. But obviously, if we feel like we don't need it in the lower grades, or we can adjust the price because it is per student. So.
Oh, okay.
And it's per student, so if you think about like a high school student, they would have lots of teachers that they would see over.
Right.
It doesn't mean that every single teacher would use it during every day. It's per student.
So the 44,745 is kind of on
Like
the high level. That's the
That's
kind of max.
that's the first year price because we added the 2 additional
But
features.
that's with license for every single computer.
Yeah, the 40,000
Pretty
that would be the subsequent years is per student.
Okay.
But if teachers decided to implement that, I guess how many students if it's per student, let's just look at the 40,000 number. How many students did you anticipate?
A little over 15,000.
15,000?
A little over.
Okay.
It came out to about $3.30.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's basically first through 12. Yeah.
But again, and I'm not saying it's
That's all
zero,
the student.
but again, if, in theory, if we had gone with not securely, let's say, and Hapara suddenly was an option, and to do this for all the students, it was zero, right? We'd still, in essence, it would cost us 40,000 to do the same thing that the other product could have done. I'm not saying that's the scenario. I don't know, but so I think that needs to be. I just want to make sure that that's
Yeah, I
a
don't
cost
mind
piece
if
to the
we
other.
get the
And we'll get you that
Yeah, all the
information. I've already done some
Yeah.
preemptive multitasking here, so.
And so I would imagine when we come back at our next board meeting, we're looking for several other vendors'
Well,
proposals?
Can we just get a memo?
Yeah, I'm gonna clarify
okay,
that. Yeah, I think
perfect.
we're gonna
So we
clarify
don't
that.
delay
It
this?
was not an oversight. There was intentionality about
Uh-huh.
those vendors because of the technological limitations that this would provide us.
Sure.
I just wanna be really clear about that. So what we'll do is we'll follow up with the question, and then we'll communicate with the board about what the next best
Okay,
steps are.
And the answer might be 500,000 because then you'd have to change everything else.
Right.
You know. So
Because the
Yeah.
intention is.
which is fine. Not
Well, yeah,
It's
and,
not
and
fine spending 500,
the other
you can
part,
spend 40, I
but
mean,
the
you
other
know.
piece that I want to make sure we're clear about is like when we went with securely and whatever we paid, right? Well, what we need to make clear is that we're locked in because we have to be, and that's actually so. Let's say it was 500,000 for securely. It's really the cost is 540, right? Because if we go with this route, now we're locked in because we have to do it.
Right.
And we're using fake numbers.
Yeah, I'd like
Using
I
fake
think-
numbers.
I think with permission, I'd like to bring back some more of these details and oversight because I wasn't here when the security contract did go through. So I think it's important that we have all of that information as well on the table for the board to review and understand and be fully cognizant of. So I'm happy to make sure and orchestrate that to make sure.
And I think also the communication, because the way that, and what was a little off-putting for me, was in the agenda where it says this memorandum is provided to notify the Board of Education of an upcoming project over 20,000. It versus like an RFP type of situation where we have a goal. The goal is that we need to help teachers better
Yes,
manage their
yes,
classroom.
yes.
Here's what we did. We went out and we looked at it. This is saying, we're doing this. And
Right,
so I think
right.
that was like a little
Yes.
where I felt like we're doing this and it's over 20,000, by the way. So I just want to make sure that kind of maybe a mind shift.
Perfect. Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
I am excited because teachers are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And, you know, when Mr. Queen was
Okay.
looking for vendors for swimming pool parts,
Mhm.
there's just not a lot of swimming pool part vendors. And we expect to hear that kind of stuff, you know,
Right.
that this isn't, I just know Securely happens to have quite a few
Competitors.
competitors, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate the feedback. I'm grateful for the feedback, and we'll definitely take that into our next steps. Thank you, gentlemen. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, it's snowing.
Bill Queen with the Operations Project Update.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. So we'll talk a little bit about the Plank project. While everybody was enjoying that great vacation and break, we didn't let the contractor do so. So we commenced to get prepared for the possibly, when these units come in March, the beginning of March, have half of those installed over spring break, giving us a jump on the job. That way, when we hit that summer date, we will only be setting the bigger units and be in a better position to have that building open up for the school on that next start year. So we're in good shape there. Things are moving along, and we hope to have more on that update later on. I felt it was important to talk a little bit about OEHS track and where we are at with that. So we've been brainstorming a lot with the architect, the civil engineer. This Wednesday, we have a meeting set up with the building administration, the athletics team, the coaches, and we're all going to get together and brainstorm and come up with that plan to relocate that high jump area to where the pole vault and long jump are currently at now. We've learned a lot in this process with what we own and what we're maintaining out there, and one of the biggest problems is water retention. That's going to play an effect of when we move further on this conversation, or if we ever talk turf, or what we're going to do with the water. And when I mean water retention, what I'm talking about is all these subdivisions everybody sees, we have these ponds, right, that holds and retains the water. We don't have anywhere to do that around here. We've got it locked. We're locked in. It's either a practice field, or it's a drain ditch, or it's just not big enough to cover all of that. So leads us to our next option is, do we bury it? Is it in a top tank, right? So there's a lot of conversation, and just wanted the board to be aware that this problem does exist. So with relocating that to where they are at now in the southeast corner, we'll have some fence adjustment. We'll have to work with the coaches and an administration, and after we have that meeting on Wednesday, we will have a better plan and a better idea and a solid plan on where we're gonna do this, and we would go out to RFP and pull that back into the Board of Education. Definitely gonna talk about it at FFC. And that's all I have for tracks.
And just to to lay on what Bill just said nicely, is that part of what the issue that we were dealing with this summer is that the project was rushed through. There were no communication between the civil engineer and the architect that's done work in the district, that knows the water table of the district very well. One location is not the same as the other location. Because you work somewhere else doesn't mean you know the particulars of an area. So we didn't take that into account when we decide this is where we're going to put certain things. So what we're trying to do is we are working with the architect who has a very good idea about what the water table is here, and then making decisions as far as where things will be placed, that they are right for that place, instead of making a subjective decision that it looks good, let's put it here, as opposed to where can you put it based on the particular makeup of that area. So those are the kind of things that we're trying to get at. And the issue that we're running into, we have some of our athletic folks, colleagues, who are used to things being a certain way, even though they may not belong there. They've always been there, but they may not belong there because of the makeup of the water table. So we need to have a conversation so we can get to the same place and say, we need to place these things where they should be based on the topography of that particular area. So those are the conversations that we're having on Wednesday. And we're going to have the civil engineer and the architect involved in that conversation.
So I want you to elaborate on one thing, but then what's the timeline on the what are you referring to?
Our goal is to have it completed this summer, absolutely.
Okay. And then the other one was, we did have this conversation in Finance Committee regarding, the contracts and the things that we're trying to do differently. For example, with the Plank contract.
Yeah.
And we had a discussion on why we think that we're getting a better response and things like that. And there was no direct 100% correlation between, some of the changes that you've made, but it seems like there might be. And I just want you to tell the rest of the board kind of what you're doing when it comes to the contracts. Raphael, are you familiar? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes. So part of we've learned some lessons from the project, the track project this summer. And when we contemplated the RTU project, the rooftop unit at Planks, we looked at a way we can modify the American Institute of Architecture contract that you use for construction to put in the language requiring liquidated damage. What we wanted to do, we wanted to make sure that we stay on time. We wanted to provide an incentive to the contractor to finish early on time. And we also wanted to make sure that, so it's kind of like each side gets something. So we give them a bonus if they finish early, and if they don't, we penalize them. They have to pay us to make up the difference if we don't finish on time. So we put that language in the contract. And moving forward, all the projects that we do now, we will put that language in. And you may wonder, that's actually not additional money that we're going to spend. When you do a construction project, you have what is called contingency. And so if there's contingency money, we'll pay it, the bonus out of that. The way the contract is, if there's no contingency money, nobody gets anything. So this has created a situation where there's motivation on the part of the contractor to get this done. So the contractor is supposed to finish in August. They couldn't wait to get in that building. They got in that building during spring break, during winter break in December. And even though we want them to finish in August, they want to start doing some of the work in March during spring break. This is what happens when you have incentives and disincentives in the contracting project.
It's just basically to say that, lessons are getting learned, and we're trying to do things to make sure that some of these issues don't happen again, so.
Yeah. We've learned a lot through this process.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions. I guess number one, I know you talked about OH. What about OE? I guess is question number one. And question number two, help me out because you said the track would be done in summer. The season starts in actually, season starts really soon, right? So help me reconcile those two pieces.
We've always known that we weren't going to make that spring season, so the anticipation
for
was
both.
Just for one.
Well, I need to back you up because
okay.
that was on OE. I was talking about here OH. Where we're at with OH right now, we just need the rubber playing surface, that synthetic turf surface that goes over the top of the oval, the jump pits. That's all we lack there. So as soon as that weather breaks this spring, those guys are coming back to lay that rubber for us, along with the rubber that's still laid here at OEHS. OEHS is the only spot that we still have construction work left to do, to where we couldn't get it all relates to the D zone, right? We redid the D zone. It's not going to work for the end user. It was pointed out to be a safety concern. So we're moving from that to relocate that high jump area. That's where we're at now.
So the high jump area at OH is?
No, here.
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 So at OH, it's fine.
OH, we're good to go. We're just ready to put
Okay,
rubber
that's
down.
where
Yeah.
Okay, I thought originally you said OH.
No,
Okay.
but what we did to be proactive is we've set a pole vault jump area inside one of the gyms here that can be utilized for meets.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
And I think it's important to say that it's not ideal. We know that it's not ideal, but we have made sure that we can still move forward.
We are going to move forward with our sports, absolutely. Good?
Good.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Next, I want to invite Dr. Kincaid, Board Policy First Read.
So as Jared and Amy mentioned earlier, we've been methodically going through some of the policies. So we have a section that came forward at our last board meeting. We have a section that is coming forward today for first read, and a section that will come back due to some follow-up questions. So today we have 220, which is powers and duties of the school board. If you take a look at our documentation included, what I would like to highlight is 6 and 10. Those are the two recommended changes to the policy. The updates that we are bringing forward are in accordance with press policy, the most recent version in the issue. In number 6, entering contracts in accordance to applicable federal and state law. So what this does is it increases the bid requirement, the bid threshold, from 25,000 to 35,000. And then in number 10, it removes district improvement. In 530, the change is requiring postings as of January 1st, 2025, to include pay scale and benefits. The next one is section 5250, which focuses on the legal review and footnotes. So it does make some changes in terms of removing COVID language and then extending child bereavement leave. In 5330, legal references and footnotes, very minimal changes to the actual policy. Same thing with 615, minimal changes, mainly in footnotes, legal references. It brings the only change is the inclusion of technical assistance. In 650, school wellness, changes to legal references and footnotes. There is some additional language around the goals for school-based activities. And then in 660 includes Native American history in that curriculum content. The remaining policies, or the next sections, minimal changes. The committee did agree on the suggested changes to 770, 7160. In 7190, there was some discussion. The policy committee did agree with the changes, specifically to number 8 in moving forward. We also discussed 7270 about administrative medicine. One of the questions that we discussed was about undesignated oxygen, which we do not currently keep on hand. And then the last two, also in section 7, was 7285 about anaphylaxis and 7290 about suicide and depression. And there is minimal policy changes, and the committee did agree with the suggested changes. In your information are those changes, so you can see not only the changes that are recommended to the policy, but also the legal references and the footnotes. Any questions?
Just one point, because I know it came up, and I always like to, what's the word I want to use? Make sure that we're cognizant of community voice. And I know we had a student who came in here and spoke when it came to certain things that we do to try and promote healthy student lifestyles, and perhaps maybe some things we can do when it comes to like eating and so forth, and monitoring students. We talked about monitoring students tonight, and so I just want to make sure we're doing our due diligence, that we recognize voice, and certainly the conversation was had when it came to, and I'm trying to go back and find it now because I lost it. I think it was 750, but we did have that conversation, right? And so I don't want, maybe it's not 750, but I don't want, here we go. It was 650, sorry. Well, so, just want to make sure that anyone who comes and speaks here knows that we definitely had those conversations. You know, what does supporting and promoting a healthy eating environment for students look like? Obviously, we want students to be healthy. The point isn't to shame students, and we talked about having that cognizant piece there, and the wellness activities and everything else. So I think it's due diligence to bring it up that the conversation happened, and that we have heard this from students in the past. So
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Dr. Kincaid, and to the committee for your due diligence.
Yes. All right, 8.1, action item, bills for payment. Can I have a motion, please?
make a motion to authorize the payment of bills in the amount of $4,373,107.33 as presented.
Second.
Ms. Venmus,
Aye.
Dr. Maria,
Aye.
Mr. Cerrone,
Aye.
Ms. Simulton,
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood,
Aye.
Ms. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Clover.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Action item 8.2, labor management partnership contract. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the labor management partnership contract with ACB for a cost of $64,800.
Second.
Dr. Maria,
Aye.
Ms. Simulton,
Aye.
Mr. Ploger,
Aye.
Mr. Saron,
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood,
Aye.
Ms. Venmus,
Aye.
Ms. Johnson.
No.
Motion passes 6-1. Action item 8.3, RSP enrollment analysis contract. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the RSP enrollment analysis 2-year contract for a total of $44,000.
I have a quick question. Is this something we are going to do?
Can we get the motion first, though,
Yeah.
and then, because I think
Okay,
it's motion
okay.
and then question.
Second.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Is this something we do every year?
Not typically. What we've seen is that this was done last year, so this is really an extension of that because we've had some significant growth in the area
Yeah.
that was not anticipated last year. And as we think about, there are some significant questions that have come up regarding our enrollment size at certain schools. And so to be more thoughtful in that planning, it's really important that we do this year.
The reason that I
Yeah.
asked is because when I pulled up the notes from last year, it does say that it's something we do every year. I was looking up the notes that Teresa puts out. It says this report is completed each year. So I just had a question about that.
We have done it the last few years.
I did not
I
know
can't
that.
speak beyond
Yeah.
the last 2 or 3 years, but it has been done at least the last 3 years.
It's just odd to me if it's a 5-year projection or a 10-year projection, and I guess what's changing so drastically. And I'm just
Yeah.
really questioning.
I think in the last 3 years, why it has been redone every year is we did see a dip in enrollment of close to 1,000 students during COVID.
Yeah.
And then over the last 2 years, there's been growth in certain sectors of the district where we wanted to ensure, because not only does it talk about student enrollment, but then it gives per level and per school. So we could see if the capacity, how far the instructional versus the physical capacity is, because we have specialized programs in different buildings.
Yes.
So it gives us information related not only to student address and location, but also programmatically.
Okay.
So,
I just want to make sure that you feel that it's yes, we've had a lot of growth, but incrementally each year, are we repaying the same 45,000, or is it a smaller portion of a bigger fee?
No, I asked the same question because I agree with you. I had the exact same thought. So my thought was exactly that. So if there's a partnership with
RSP.
Yes.
Yeah.
To make sure that after this year,
It should be an incremental, not
another
full
44,000.
recounting.
If the information that they're giving goes out to 2026, then technically we shouldn't have to do this again
Right.
until 2025.
Versus are you just looking at here, we've had 4 subdivisions, what is that going to do to our numbers that you provided us last time?
And it's 22,000 a year, not 44.
I know,
I
I was
just wanna
just
make sure,
saying,
yeah.
yes. Is that the number? Is that the incremental number?
But you're talking about a full versus a
Yes. Yes.
revised.
To Dr.
Absolutely.
Kilgotti's point, we have had a lot of construction that we weren't anticipating. So is that what we're paying for, or are we paying for another full?
Yeah,
Thank you.
they probably anticipated all that construction, but not maybe as quickly as it's coming.
Correct.
Because I know they're good about all that.
Oh,
stuff. And
yes,
plus-
yes.
and Plus, I know that from being on planning and zoning, that some of the initial uses have changed from what we're zoned for.
Good point.
So, for $22,000,
we need to know.
it's probably a good time to make sure that we're staying ahead of.
And I was really just questioning that we do that report every
Yeah.
year, and is that something we should just be expecting every year?
I don't think we need it every year.
Okay.
It's something, I will be
These
honest
next
with you, I
couple
think-
probably.
I'll be honest with you, I think it really depends also what's happening around us.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's no.
When there was no
reason to
development,
flag it, there was no, then
we
we
didn't
wouldn't
need
do
it.
this. But there's a lot of legwork that goes into this, a lot of additional analysis, new partnerships that need to be investigated. it's pretty investigatory. They get really down to the nuts and bolts of it. So,
Thank
but those
you.
are great questions. And
Thank you.
Our student assignment planning process would be an annual process. Do we use RSP every single? I mean, this service every year. It'll depend.
Okay.
Right. It will
Thank
depend.
you.
Okay, can we have the vote?
Ms. Venmus,
Aye.
Dr. Mario,
Aye.
Mr. Saron,
Aye.
Ms. Simulton,
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood,
Aye.
Ms. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Ploger.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Action item 8.4, junior high school English learner support. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the use of Paridad Educational Consulting to work at Plank each week for the remainder of the school year to fill the gap in support from not being able to fill the junior high English learner coordinator position. The cost for this would be, wait.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're
I
reading the
am.
recommendation.
I apologize. Good grief. I make a motion to approve the junior high school English learner support provided by Paridad Educational Consulting for a cost of $39,000.
Second.
That threw me off too. Sorry.
Mr. Saron,
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood,
Aye.
Ms. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Ploger.
Aye.
Ms. Venmus,
Aye.
Dr. Mario,
Aye.
Ms. Simulton.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Action item 8.5, CSMI organizational and curricular audit. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the contract for CSMI organizational and curricular audit for a total cost of $96,500.
Second, sorry.
Dr. Mario,
Aye.
Ms. Venmus,
Aye.
Mr. Saron,
Aye.
Ms. Simulton,
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood, Ms. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Ploger.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Action item 8.6, policies for second read and approval. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the following policy changes. Section 2, school board 2:110, 2:120, 2:200, 2:220. Section 4, operational services 4:10, 4:30, 4:60, 4:90, 4:130, 4:160, 4:170. Section 7, students 7:345. Section 8, community relations 8:30.
A second.
Can you read those again, please, just in case?
Sure, if you really want me to.
Oh, I'm kidding.
I mean,
I just wanted to make a comment
smile.
regarding, before we vote, regarding section 830. I think that everybody in the education world is very, and HR world, is very well aware of Faith's Law, not our Faith Dahlquist, but Faith Law is a two-part public act that came in to effect December 3rd, 2021 and July 1st, 2023. It focuses on the prevention of sexual misconduct as defined in the first part of the public act by school employees, substitute employees, and employees of contractors. It's really kind of groundbreaking work that happened. It really gives voice to a lot of people that haven't had voice prior. I'm really, really proud of and encouraged by the work that has been done by this administration. Dr. Calgatti, by the public statement that you made at a couple of board meetings back. This board has been very adamant and very passionate about protecting our students and our staff against sexual harassment, sexual assault, and so forth. And Faith Law has really given us the, I think, foundation and the backing to do so. But I'm really proud of this act. You know, a lot of times it's easy to go with whatever Press Plus says or whatever just like the basic bare minimum is, but sometimes you have to recognize that more is needed, and I'm really proud of 8:30, and I think it's also very important of that act and of that information to understand that if you do see something and you're not reporting it, you are also part of the problem and something that it is actionable on the district's part. But I want to thank you to the administration, Dr. Calgatti, Dr. Swemke, very much for looking into this, for making sure that our students and staff are safe, and by looking through anything that may have been in the past or is something that needs to be considered, and not just taking us at the basic, we're doing the bare minimum. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Mr. Saron?
Aye.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Action item 8.7, approval of separation agreement.
Make a motion to approve the separation agreement and general release for Eric Widener.
Second.
Mr. Saron?
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson? Abstain, sorry. Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye. Motion passes 6 with 1 abstention. Action item 8.8, approval of second separation agreement. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the separation agreement and general release for Garrett Lefferson.
Second.
Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye.
Mr. Saron?
Aye.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Abstain.
Motion passes 6 with 1 abstention. Action item 8.9.
I make a motion to approve the,
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Approval of district administrator contracts.
I apologize. I jumped the gun there. I make a motion to approve the district administrator contracts as discussed and presented.
Second.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Saron?
Aye.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Action item 8.10 or 8.10, approval of building administrator contracts. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the building administrator contracts as discussed and presented.
Second.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Mr. Saron?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
With
Action
that
item.
one, can I just make
Oh,
a comment
yes.
that we just want to welcome into an interim principal role with this approval is who's with us tonight, Ms. Jill Decker, who's served in the district for many years. And,
Thank you.
Welcome, Jill.
Yeah.
so, thank you.
Action item 8.11, approval of personnel report. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the personnel report as discussed and presented.
Second.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Mr. Gatewood?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Ploger?
Aye.
Ms. Simulton?
Aye.
Mr. Saron?
Aye.
Ms. Venmus?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Action item 9.1. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Do we
in
get a
favor?
second?
Aye.
Do we get a second?
Second.
Yeah. Second. Okay, we are now adjourned.